I'm Steve Torrence, four-time NHRA Top Fuel World Champion. And when me and these CAPCO Boys win races, we go straight WFO.
This is WFO Radio.
We are just hours away from the 2022 Lucas Oil Winternationals. Hey, everybody, I'm Joe Castello from WFO Radio, and we are WFO Live. Our guest today, the four-time Top Fuel World Champion, Steve Torrence, going to join us here on WFO Radio, our YouTube channel, all of our channels, and also his own social media page on Facebook. Steve Torrence fans, welcome. You're welcome to comment, ask questions of the champ as he gets ready for the Drive for Five. I know you've heard that before, but really it's kind of rare, right? How many times does someone have an opportunity to go for a fifth consecutive championship? I know Jimmy Johnson did it, and it's pretty much it in modern era. Big deal. Steve Torrence going to be joining us. We're going to talk about testing. We're going to get his preseason prognosis, what he thinks about the competition, all of these things. And of course, a look back at 2021 and the 11-win season, over 51 wins in his career. So fans of Steve, be ready. Now, before we do this, I want to thank the people who make it possible for me to create this content and sit around and talk to drag racers all week as I get ready to head out to the Lucas Oil Winternationals for the National Hot Rod Association. Super happy to welcome FTIperformance.com for all the sportsman racers out there, Lucas Oil Series racers, .90 racers, big money bracket racers. FTI for over 10 years have been building the best transmissions and torque converters in the business. Thank you to Paul Lee for jumping on board to support WFO with FTI. Thank you so much. And Total Seal Piston Rings, the leader in ring seal technology. They are making piston rings that are next level. Over 40% of your engine's friction comes from piston rings. So what if they were thinner and lighter and lasted longer? What if? That's what's exactly happening at Total Seal right now. Brand new episode of Hidden Horsepower getting ready to drop this Friday. That podcast that we produce, you're going to love it. If you love engine technology, it's like hardcore engine technology, guys. Check them out, totalseal.com. And if you're going to be at the race on Friday at 1 o'clock at the Fairplex, we are going to have a Total Seal Tech Talk in Matt Hartford's pit. Be there. It's going to be great. Samtech.edu, the next generation of crew members and crew chiefs and CNC programmers and motorsport EFI tuners or good old-fashioned machinists. Blockhead CNC program. You know, there's a lot of machining going on out in those oil fields. There's a lot of machining. It's not necessarily like a big block Chevrolet, but bigger stuff. And they need qualified machinists as well. Everybody needs people to work right now. If you're a younger person and you're thinking, what do I want to do with my life? Give Brian Massengill a call, samtech.edu. Maybe you just want to drive a dragster. That's fun too. Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School has got programs where you can just drive a dragster, show up with nothing, leave with the experience of a lifetime, having driven a rear-engine sportsman dragster, and maybe you will be hooked. Go to frankhawley.com. And then there's my buddy from Fort Worth, Texas, drag racer turned coffee roaster, Marvin Rodak, and rodakscoffeeandgrills.com, 817-924-6821. Go to the website, order up some coffee, gourmet from all around the world, some of the best of the best. Marvin will hook you up, especially if you like barbecue. And who doesn't? Stick around at the end of the show. I'll tell you how to join our VIP listener club. And I'll give you some other deets and stats as we get ready for the start of the season. But now we're going to go out and check in with the man at the headquarters of CAPCO Incorporated, Mr. Steve Torrence, our four-time Top Fuel World Champ. What are you looking at, champ? I see you checking out the screen. How you doing?
I'm good. I was doing a little bit of work waiting on you. So
yeah.
Thanks for having me on, man. It's been a while.
It has been a while. So the plan was, to catch up with you right before the start of the season. And, we talked to you 11 times last year, right? And so give an opportunity for some things to change, a fourth championship to settle in, for you to kind of realize what has happened and what's happening and what is about to happen. So as you get ready for NHRA 2022, looking back at 4 consecutive, where's your head at?
It's been a whirlwind of just the last 4, really 5 seasons. The success that we've been able to have, and just the amount of race wins we've stacked up, the championships, and it's nothing short than just a storybook dream to have accomplished what we've done, and to do it with so much consistency and the same guys and the same team and amongst the competition that we've had. I mean, it's been a crazy couple years dealing with COVID for everyone, but it makes things more difficult. So it's been really pretty awesome.
Now, everybody's checking in out there, your fans and some WFO listeners as well. Monica says, congratulations on the 4th champ. Ulysses, just what's up, Steve? You've cultivated this fan base, and we're on your own Facebook page in addition to WFO Radio, which is great. And so I'm going to ask if people have questions for you, to post them in the chat section, and we'll put them to the champ. But think about that. What was that like? Bring me back to the Auto Club finals, spraying the champagne, surrounded by hundreds of fans, not quite the thousands that normally go down there, but things were just, becoming more normal. And hey, while we're talking about more normalcy, LA County's restrictions have been lifted for outdoor masks, vax proof and protocol to enter the gates. And it's going to be a much more normal experience. I want everybody out there to know that. A lot of people seem to think it was NHRA doing it. It was LA County.
Right.
It's been lifted. It wasn't the NHRA. So you will not need a mask outside. You will not need to prove whether you had a test or whether you had a vax or none of that. None of that. Indoors, that's a different story. But we're at a drag race, so fans shouldn't worry. I just want everybody to know about that. But bring me back to that moment, Steve, spraying that champagne, thinking about what you just accomplished with your fans.
That was a tough day. I mean, you go out there and you say, well, we only needed to win 1 or 2 rounds or whatever it was. And you can let that build in your head. We only have to do that and only have to do this. And ultimately it's the wrong way to look at that and the wrong way to approach it, because when you go into that situation just trying to get by, it takes some of the pressure off of you, but puts a little bit of it on you in some situations where you just instead of racing the way that we raced every race up until then, you want to maybe take that layup instead of shoot for that 3. And so it was a tough day. I mean, it was stressful, and I was nervous. I mean, you go into that, and Grubby and Brittany had been running so well, and you knew that whatever they were doing through qualifying, whether they were trying to stack the ladder and meet up with us first round and take us out, or if they were just really struggling through qualifying, we don't know, but it definitely was looking like that was the situation. So we could have went into first round Sunday morning racing Brittany and winner take all right there, which they would have had to win the race, but still it's not out of the question at all. But just to go out and win the race, or win the round, win the championship, win the race, was the cherry on top for closing the season and just being able to solidify ourselves. I mean, you win 1 and you could have gotten lucky. You win 2 and you've maybe been even more lucky. And then to do 4 in a row like what we've done, I think it adds credit. I mean, it solidifies our credentials and says, hey, I mean, we're the real deal, and we've been able to do it. And I couldn't pick a better group of guys to be able to do it with.
One of the greatest of all time. It has nothing to do with the name. It has to do with the numbers, right? 4 in a row. There's no accidental 4 in a row. There have been really great teams out there. And to get 51 wins as quickly as you have, it's just that. But you're at the top, right? And eventually, I don't know when it's going to happen, but all things eventually end. And everybody's trying to make it this year, and you're trying to make it not this year. So we just had the big test. We had all that. I want to talk about it. But first, though, a little note over there in the chat section, right? Doug says it's Mama Kay and Billy's anniversary. Is that today?
Yep.
Is it? When is that?
Yep. It is today, and it's 43 years today for my mom and dad. So I text them. My mom sends out a Bible verse every morning about 5:30. And I text her on my way to work when I got that verse and said, congratulations, and super proud of that accomplishment, because that's a major achievement, especially in this day and time, to be married for 43 consecutive years, So, I mean, I've been married almost 2, and I'll tell you, it's a give and take, and it takes a lot of effort on both halves. And I have a great wife, but and we have no problems. But I'm just saying, I know what it takes to get there, or I feel like I do, and it's a lot of hard work.
So who's got the tougher deal in that one, Mama Kay or Billy?
Oh man, Mama Kay keeps us all in line, so we just do what she says and go on about our business.
There you go. Eddie Garnett from Concord wants to get your order in ahead of time for Penne Colada vodka and the Antron Brown knots. Best of luck this year is the point, but it's exciting, right? We're going to hit all these spots. You're going to see all these people. You're going to go for the run again, and it all starts this weekend.
Yeah, and that's what makes this so much more fun than what we're doing, is just the fans and the places that we get to go and see, and the people that we meet, and you develop those relationships just like Eddie. I mean, we go eat at his place every time we're there. We get that Peniala vodka and the AB knots, and so it's an added bonus to be able to go to those towns, those cities, and have those fans that maybe you see them once or twice a year, but they support you so much. And so, I mean, we got some lobster fishermen that we get to see when we go to the Northeast, and you go out to the West Coast, and we have some friends out there that just make everything so much fun for us. When we come to Houston, we have some people from Louisiana that come up and cook gumbo for us. I mean, it's there's more to what we do than just driving a race car, and it makes it so much fun. I see Uncle Nemo. That's some of our family out from North Carolina. They're not blood family, but they're family.
That's great. No, it's great. Well, and that's the thing that I've been on the tour now for 10 years, right? It's gone by super fast. And previously a fan, a media member covering drag racing, a bracket racer loving drag racing, but that family atmosphere, you might fight it out on the track, but everybody has something in common. They understand the carnies of speed, circus lifestyle, and it's just very difficult to explain to people who aren't out there on the road like that. And you think about places and you think about people, like, am I going to see them there? And typically they show up. And that's what's got me excited about Pomona. Let's see. Lonnie wants to know, were you happy with your test results? And did the team learn whatever you wanted to learn after, whatever you were after? So what were you after? And what did you learn? And were you happy with the results? Judging by when you put the car away, I'd say you might have been.
Yeah. Typically that's kind of our schedule. We go out and run Thursday, Friday, and try to get everything done in a couple days. We were very happy with the results. Normally we utilize the test session more for just conditioning and reacclimating myself in the car, all the guys, to get back in the swing of things, of servicing the car. This year there were some things that we went there with the purpose and intent of trying and trying to learn something, and it worked well for us. I think that it's everything that we had planned on and wanted to change and adapt really worked well. And it was some things that we were working towards throughout the year last year, and then you get the opportunity to go to the test session and really just hammer them down. And so car ran great. I don't know, a lot of teams do exactly what we do. They don't make full pulls. You just go out there, go just past half track, and get the information you need, and then save parts and pieces, because a lot of damage can happen in that last couple hundred feet. But the car ran exceptionally well. I think we went 2 or 3 laps in the 60s, shutting off early, a couple 70, 71 runs. So a great test session for us all, and we'll hopefully be able to take that information and go into Pomona. I was looking at the weather this morning, and it looked like lows in the 40s, highs in the mid 70s.
Good note for that. Pack a jacket. Nighttime, California.
So there's Jake LeBlanc. That's one of my buddies. He's a state trooper. I'm sure he's sitting out here keeping our highway safe in Texas and watching this interview from his patrol car.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Jake, thank you for what you do right now, especially anybody that wears a uniform. We appreciate you and, know what, that you're serving your country, and I appreciate you. Thank you for doing that. All right. Some questions coming in. I'm going to ask you later to size up the competition, but this guy's asking now. So let's do it. He wants to know what you think of Tony Stewart coming to the sport of NHRA drag racing.
I think it's a great thing. I've gotten to know Tony a little bit over the last couple of years, and man, just a really genuine guy from what I've been able to see and talk to, and he brings another dynamic to our sport. I mean, he's a NASCAR guy, he's a dirt track guy, he's all other forms of motorsports guy. So to have him come over, I think it brings some new eyes, or it definitely sparks some interest for some new eyes to look into the drag racing sport, and maybe we can get some more fans. I think that it's great. We need more team owners. We need more teams out here to race. And so I think it's good for us. I think it's something that will bring some excitement and spark some more interest.
I agree. And Tony's been very cool. The best part about the whole Tony Stewart experience coming to NHRA for me is he clearly wants to work on the car, right? Like he's always doing something with his hands. He's not the kind of guy who sits back and is watching. And it's been great in drag racing to watch Tony actually go out there and be a racer as opposed to be like a face or a sponsored driver.
Hang on here. I'm not hearing you.
I see you though, and I can hear you. So, but you can't hear me.
You.
So I'm going to kick you out and you'll jump back in. That's what I do. I kick him out and jump back in. But don't worry, queue up your questions for Steve. He'll be back. He knows exactly how to do this. And in the meantime, I want to invite everybody to download the free WFO Radio mobile application where you can hear all our shows and get all our news and watch the videos and get a push notification for when we put it out on YouTube. And it'll be great. There's Steve is back. Steve, yeah, we just got to reset. You can hear me now, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, so we were talking about Tony working on the car. I think that's great. I mean, the guy's he's very interested in how things work. I see him going out there, walking up and down the starting line, walking down the track. I talked with him at the test session, and he goes, man, this is such a different world, and I can go and I can go to the circle track or the dirt track and look at the track conditions and know what I'm looking at. And I'm trying to figure out this racing surface, and I walk out there with Neil and I make my assessment, and I talk to him, and he goes, I'm getting better at it, but it's just so new to me. And you don't think of that when this is all I've ever done. I mean, I'm used to the drag strip. That's my home. And so it's fun to see his perspective on it.
Well, I like it too. And I think it's, when you get to the midlife and you've done a lot and you've succeeded a lot, you want a new challenge. What do? Right? He can't go Formula One racing. It's just an age thing. So he's coming drag racing, and it's going to be which you can do a little older. And someone compared you to John Forrest. Clint compared you to John Forrest, the only man in drag racing that can challenge John Forrest's record of 16. I don't know about that. Are you going to race till you're 70? Maybe if you race till you're 70, you might.
Joe, I hope I live to be 70. Yeah. At the rate I'm going through my spare lives here, I'm running out of them quick. But, I'm not even worthy to be mentioned in the same sentence as John Forrest. I mean, the guy is the icon of our sport. When you think of drag racing, you think of John Forrest, Big Daddy Don Garlitz, and Charlie Muldowney. I mean, that's the people. And so I don't even consider myself anywhere close to that league, but he's the man. And if you got to strive for something, you might as well strive for what he's done.
Absolutely. And hey, you pay respect to those folks. Like that's very important. And that's great about drag racing. Renee wants to know, was there anything about last season that you didn't like that you worked on, right? It was a championship season, but it wasn't perfect, right? So what did you take away from last season that you said we need to get better, or that's an area that we need to address?
I think there's always stuff that you work on and try to get better at. As far as the car goes, I really observe, watch, pay attention, not real involved with the decisions that are being made on tuning. I know what we're working on in that aspect, but also just as a driver, you're consistently trying to evolve. I mean, I'm not the kid anymore. I mean, I'm kind of the middle of the pack, or I'm beginning to be some of the older guys. So you got Justin and you got Josh and some of the and Austin and these young kids that are just exceptional laser precision on the tree. And so it may not be the quickest, but you need to try to be the most consistent and be there when you need to be there. That's something that I used to watch some of these other drivers and think, man, that guy, he misses it sometimes. And when he's there, he does. He steps up when he has to, and he's lax sometimes when he doesn't have to. And I can't race that way. And it's really nothing that you consciously do. It ends up being a product of just how you perform and how you drive and comfortability in the car. And I think it just comes with experience that sometimes you relax a little bit and sometimes you step up, and it's just the situations that you find yourself in as a driver. And I think that's just something you do as you evolve.
I'm going to put some photos up on the screen. Mark Rabilis, the ace photographer, who always does something huge with the NFL. Like he got some special permission to take some special shots. Natalie sent them. And so I assume we have Mark's permission, or they belong to you one way or another. But this moment where you're doing a burnout, you got Gary and Mark out there in the middle of the track, getting this unbelievable perspective of 335 mile per hour, top fuel, nitro burning beast. Awesome stuff. I was watching them out there. Just cool. Talk a little bit about that experience.
It was Gary Nastasi and Mark Rabilis, and they came up to me before the run and they were like, hey, we're gonna be out in front of you when you're doing your burnout and try to get this really cool shot. And I said, well, which one of you is going to be in the middle? Because I may just do an extra long burnout and see how fast you can run. And if you know Nastasi, he's super cool. And Mark, sometimes Mark's like, what? You kind of confused him. But two of the best in the business. And it's crazy because something about Mark Rabilis is always in the right spot, the right place at the right time. And I don't know what he had to do to get to be that lucky, but the photos he takes are just exceptional, and gets the just some of the coolest shots. And I mean, his dad was a great photographer, and he's rolled right into that position and filled it so well. And there's so many guys that have done that, but just it seems that it seems he ultimately is in those positions when he needs to, and nobody else is there. But he's a great photographer, and so is Nastasi, and those guys take really good care of us. Mark does all of our photography work for Torrence Racing, and it's just those, like that shot right there of Mike Cleaver underneath the car. That's the epitome. He really captures what's going on in the moment, and it's not a lot of staged photography. It's just real life happening, and he captures those moments.
Yeah. And it's funny that we're talking about this, right? Because the photographers of the NHRA, I like featuring them as often as I can. And, people look at their photos, but they don't know the people. Like Rabilis doesn't have to go to a drag race ever again in his life.
No.
He can do anything else. And you've seen his work on the front page of USA Today, Super Bowls, everything. But he loves drag racing. He's one of the drag racing addicted or afflicted. It's in his blood. He loves it. He prefers to be out there, whether he's got, an incident button on his camera or not. We don't know, but he is always in the right place at the right time. And yeah, Nastasi is just cool, and they have captured the photos. But I just wanted to show some of these, Car and Anger. And how about these two? Right? Getting ready to go into battle. Jake McCullough has moved on to another team. We'll talk about that, but he was on your dad's car. Talk about Bobby and Hoagie and where's their head at? What are they thinking? Because I know Bobby Lagana never thought he'd win 4 world championships in a row. He just happened to be at a drag strip. What's it like with those guys right now?
Hogan, is my number one. I mean, Hogan and I were friends before we ever started racing together. I call him the one-eyed bandit. You know, Hogan's had problems with his eyes since he was born. A lot of people don't know that has glaucoma, really bad, completely blind in one eye. Wow. And just probably a really difficult person to get to know, but one of the best guys you'll ever be friends with, and just so genuine and loyal and tells you how it is, and a great friend of mine, and so blessed to be able to work with him. Bobby, and going back to that, Richard is like everybody has different little personalities about him. Richard needs to be shielded from stuff and concentrate on his job, and Bobby is the best at that. Bobby takes on the burden of anything that's going on outside of the lounge, handles everything on the race team, and you won't find anybody in drag racing that'll say anything negative about anybody last name Lagana. Bobby or Dom, just two of the greatest guys you'll ever meet, and Bobby is the blood. He is the heart and soul. Him and my mother are that, they are that team. And every one of those guys, myself, my dad, we all just rally around them. And when you have that, it keeps the morale good. It keeps the energy and the focus and everything just going in the right direction. And you know, sometimes, I mean, emotions can get the best of you, whether everything's going great or everything's going completely downhill. And it's how you handle it and keep rolling on. So it's to see the inner workings and to know the relationships that we have with Bob, and you know, Bob may flip out and spin out and be mad at you and alligator arms on the starting line when you do something crazy or stupid, and then come back the next minute and tackle you and hug you and tell you how proud of you he is. And I mean, that's one of the scariest moments, is when Bob's excited and he's coming at you in a full run just to tackle you, because Bob's a pretty big boy.
He's a big boy. Yeah.
And so we won Indy and he took me down on the starting line. So, you know, he's a tough old boy, but those guys right there are, I mean, every one of those CAPCO boys are unbelievable, but you know, you got to pay a lot of tribute and respect to Bobby for keeping them together, keeping that team what it is. And he assembled that team. I mean, you know, I tell everybody we're the band of misfits, because not everybody is the all-star wherever they were at by themselves, but together they are the baddest hombres on the racetrack.
Dan has given you an opportunity to drive in a monster truck. Need to get you in the seat of one of the monster trucks of the team I work with. Dan, Steve says yes. Okay. Steve, you do say yes, right?
I'm in.
Yeah, of course. You got to be in. Now, you mentioned the team. There has been some change. It's not like people got fired or anything, just with your dad not running all the races. And so kind of lay it out. You told me this, face-to-face out in Arizona, and I thought it was interesting for people to understand. Moving some chess pieces around, you're not worried about anything, but some people are staying home. Life on the road is so tough. Fans might not think about it because somehow they're at the race every weekend, either on NHRA.TV or on Fox. But the people who go over the road, it's a different life, and it's challenging, especially after several years of doing it. So who's moved where and what's happening?
Well, you came up and you said, I see a couple new faces over here, which is very uncommon for us. But we had two guys that still work for us, but they just kind of wanted to reduce their traveling and be at home more. So two of the guys are staying back at the shop. We're building super comp cars there. And so one of them is focusing on that primarily, and we'll fill in with my dad when he needs, when he goes and runs, he'll fill in on that car. And then the other guy is just back servicing and working on stuff at the shop, keeping things prepared for us. And he'll also do the same thing. He'll be a guy that goes and works on my dad's car when we go back out. We took one of the guys that was full-time on my dad's car and moved over to my car, Kenny Carson. And Kenny's been with us for a couple years already, so he knows the program. He works really well with everybody. And people don't realize, I mean, that continuity and just that relationship is a huge part of what we do. And so Kenny fits in well. And then we brought over a guy from Schumacher that was on Leah's car, Blake. And, he's really the only new guy that we've had in years. And so I'm sure that he's a little intimidated coming in, and everybody at my camp, if you can't take criticism and aggravating and being picked on consistently, you're not going to make it. And so I think he's going to make it because he's been around all off season and he's been with the guys and he fits in well. But it's a tough group over there at the CAPCO camp. I mean, any weakness or anything that you show is going to be exploited by each and every one of those guys. And I mean, Gary Pritchett and Justin Crossland, those guys are going to pick on you if you let it show, they're going to pick on you more. So it's been fun and we look forward to it. But I think Blake's going to fit in great. And just I'm looking forward to it. I'm as excited about this race season as I've been about any of them. With the success you've had, and we talked about it earlier, the more success you have, the bigger the target gets on your back. But you also just say, hey, I mean, we've been so blessed and fortunate to be where we're at. Let's just enjoy this and ride this wave because it won't ultimately live forever. But we're going to try to keep it going as long as we can.
All right, fans of Steve and CAPCO, share the show. Let's get it out there. The championship interview, the preseason look ahead. But Monica wants to know if you think this year is going to be more challenging than years past. Is this going to be the most challenging year of your championship runs, given all the competition? Tony Schumacher is back. You got Austin Prock. You got Brittany, constantly being there. You got Justin Ashley, who beat you in Texas last year. Everyone seems to have raised their game. Antron was right there at the end. So when you size up the competition and you think about 2022, is this your greatest challenge?
I don't quite understand that question. With everybody saying the competition is greater, I don't think that at all. I think that it's still the same people. There's going to be some challenges for some of these guys that are starting their own teams. I talk to AB a lot, and I don't envy the position he's in. I mean, yes, he started with a lot of people and parts in place and stuff in place, but it's so much, and he's the first to tell you it's so much different being the owner than it is just being the driver and part of the deal. And so there's a lot of headache that he's going to have to deal with, and the other teams as well. But as far as competition, it's the same folks, and they're the last 4 years, 5 years hasn't been easy. Schumacher coming back, Schumacher was there. What's he missed 2 years? But I mean, Tony's going to be solid wherever he's at. You don't get to be an 8-time world champion by just falling into some luck. So
Nice.
I'm excited about it. I don't know if it's going to be. It definitely won't be easier. I don't think it's going to be any more difficult of competition. As saying, I mean, the competition is always tough. I mean, these guys, anybody at any given time can win the race. Justin is probably the best lever in the class right now. Yeah. And we just got outrun by him. I mean, we were both identical on the tree in Dallas last year, and we just got outran. So Mike Green's a world champion crew chief. And you combine that with one of the best levers, if not the best lever in the class, that's a tough customer any way you look at it. Austin Prock is if he's not better than Justin, he's as good as Justin consistently. And I mean, that's what I was saying earlier. These young kids, I mean, they're early 20s and they're out there trying to chop our heads off on the tree. And you got to know that. And so it makes you bring your A game when you're there. And Prock's got Tobe and Joe Barlam over there. Yep. I mean, those are just as they're fierce competitors that we're going to have to deal with. So I don't think that there's no slouch anytime, any year, anywhere, but it's going to be tough this year. I mean, there's a lot of good guys and good teams and good drivers that's going to be out there. There's Proc.
Yeah, well, right. Like, so, here you go. Everyone, like, this kid, he's happy to be back though, right? Like, and he needs to be back. He's got star power. But people are talking about him. They're definitely talking about this guy. And they're definitely talking about Mr. Doug Coletta because of the big acquisition that they made over there. And I've seen the question a few times in the chat section about Doug Coletta, Coletta Motorsports, Alan Johnson, forming like a super team, just like in basketball, just like the Rams did, like going out and making that, we'll call it a free agent acquisition, so to speak. And you take Alan Johnson and his guys off of the Scrappers team. You move it over to Doug Coletta, who people say, and I'm sure he hates hearing this, but this is what they say, the greatest driver to not have yet won a championship. And you put them together, and it's got people like wondering, is this the combination that can rival the CAPCO team?
I'm excited for Doug. I think it's a good opportunity for him. I don't think by any means Alan Johnson's the holy grail of anything. He's a great crew chief. He's done well. But you get, like, he was with Brittany, he was with Scrappers, and it's all about a team. No one person is going to come in and just work magic. It takes everybody working well together. And so the team that AJ won the championship with Brittany, he took to Scrappers, and all those guys are still together over there. It's just Brian and AJ that went to the Coletta car. And so I wish them the best. I hope that everything goes well for him. And I mean, Doug is, I agree. I mean, it's terrible to be known as that, but he's probably the greatest driver that never has won a championship. And I have so much respect for Doug Coletta. I've raced, I've raced against him for years now, but I grew up watching him. And I mean, I'm a Doug Coletta fan. I mean, and he's kind of like the dorky, quirky guy, but is so much fun to be around. And I mean that with respect, but
with love. But it's true, though.
Love.
It's true.
He's so much fun. But man, I'm going to tell you, he's competition, and we gotta look at him like that and go do the best we can. But like I said, I don't think anybody's just a magic fix to anything. So we'll see how they do. But I mean, that's definitely the recipe for some pretty stout competition.
All right, I've seen a couple of people talk about Houston. We're losing Houston in the final race at Houston. Everybody out there in Texas, you got to go to Baytown. You got to go to Houston this year. It's going to be the send-off. It's going to be sad. This is a track that's been a home track. You bracket race there. You in many ways grew up at the track. Let's talk about that for a second in case we don't get to talk between now and then. We want a huge send-off for Baytown, the final race at Houston Raceway Park.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of saddening because that is the place that would be one of the two first national events I'd ever been to and competed in. And growing up, you had two national events in the state. So that was like double whammy, awesome opportunity to go to. When I was a kid, we would get to go to and at that time there were two races at each. There was the spring and the fall race for Dallas and for Houston. And so a lot of history there, racing Super Comp there, racing alcohol there. That was one of the two tracks last year that we had not won on the circuit. And we were able to win the Houston race last year for the first time. And I'd been to the final multiple times there and never been able to get it done. And to check that off was such a relief to me, to be able to say that we'd won every race on the circuit and to do it at home. The Angel brothers, they're great friends. I know Slate and Seth and a bunch of those guys well. And I wanted to be able to say, hey, we've won Houston. I hate to see it go. I'd heard some speculation and rumors that it may not. And we're gonna keep our fingers crossed and hope. But if it does, it's been a great facility for many, many years, and at one time one of the premier facilities for drag racing. So thank those guys for everything they've done, and hopefully something magical will happen there and we won't lose it.
Yeah, exactly. Save the racetrack. Let's make it happen. All right. I want to wind this down, guys. Final question, final thought for Steve. Well wishes for Steve. Racer X wants to know about your dad. Like, what's the plan? Selling undercover chassis, building pipelines, going racing. Give us Billy's rough schedule.
We're really, really busy right now at work, which is a blessing. There's not a lot of work going on, but we've been able to backlog quite a bit. So we need to focus on that. That's ultimately what keeps us going and keeps us out here racing. But the question was talking about the sportsman cars as well.
Yes,
we are building those. We're actively building those cars and selling them. I don't know how many we've got on order right now. I know that
this guy wants to buy one, by the way. Like, if we can make a sale right here on the show, like, that would be a milestone. So Racer X purchase one. Is there a waiting list? How does that work?
Yeah, there is a waiting list. You need to call up there to the race shop, Torrence Racing in Brownsburg, Indiana, and talk with Bob and see if we can get one on order for you. I think that we're finishing up a car for Vincent Nobile right now. Craig Anderson from Texas has got one, and I think we're finishing up a car right now for Autumn Height.
Awesome.
So Autumn's going to be racing Super Comp in one of our cars pretty soon, and so they're really nice pieces. Anything that we do, we try to pay attention to detail and the craftsmanship, and so there's no corners cut anywhere, and great Super Comp cars. And I was proud of my dad. He was able to get the first win in one of the cars. So it was that was pretty special for him. And then I saw something about the granddaughter. She's already taken over. I used to be the favorite. Now I'm not the favorite anymore. That's my little girl. Yeah.
Look at that. And she's big, like not a tiny little nothing anymore, right? Like she's growing fast.
So my wife takes her to the doctor, and they tell you how things are going. And I think she was in the 80th percentile for height and just growing. And I said, that is something that they've never said about anyone named Torrence. I'm like in the 20th percentile for height. So such a special thing. And I say it over and over. You don't know what you don't know. And being a dad has been the coolest thing that I've ever been able to do in my whole life. And so my little girl and my wife left Phoenix and went out to California for the week and have been out there visiting some of her family. And man, I've missed them so much. Every day is something different when and especially as they get older, it's more fun every day. And so I've been missing that a lot. So I'll get to see them tomorrow, and I'm excited.
Absolutely. That is great. This guy wants to know if you're team roping. This is going to be the last question. Off topic, but are you still team roping? So has being a dad cut into any of your like Steve roping, hunting, doing your own stuff time?
I haven't. I know Benny Hall. Benny, how are you doing, brother? I haven't been roping much. We've been too busy around here. And I'll tell you, I didn't rope much at the end of the year because I was like, man, if I mess up one of my fingers or something trying to win this championship, I'm going to be really mad at myself. So I hadn't been roping too much, and I'm getting back into it. I'm getting my horses legged up and getting them ready to go.
All right. That's it for questions. I'm going to play. I loaded up a couple of quick videos. They're quick. I want you to, your mic will be on. I want you to walk us through this because the car's got a new look. Everyone was getting ready out at the test, and just, walk us through this moment, right? Like everybody's checking things and they're looking things, and you're about to get in the car. And then right as you get in the car, it stops. And then I'll hit another one where you get in the car in your very unique way. Your mic will be on. Talk us through this. Your mic is not on. Just save it, Steve, and let's watch the CAPCO team do their thing.
Bottom start. Top start.
Bottom start.
Got a wheel in it? Yeah. Got air bottles on it? Yep. Found the wheel.
Like that moment, it's so quiet. We never get to hear all of that because there's so much going on. And for me to be able to just kind of watch, it's obvious that you've got a routine that you do. And everybody, Gary's, they're oiling it. Is this air bottles? Check, check, check. Like you're getting ready to launch a rocket over there. And you kind of are, except you're inside the thing. Take me through the emotions and the buildup of that moment. It's obviously very well choreographed.
Yeah, so those guys right there were changing the blower pulleys and checking everything over, and it's pretty neat for me to see that, because that's something that I don't pay attention to a lot, and I'm more focused on what I'm doing, from getting out of the tow vehicle, putting my helmet on, getting everything dressed, and then you see me walk behind the car. I always walk down the left side of the car, go around the back. I look at the parachutes, and I make sure that the pins are through the chutes well, just in case. Sometimes you'll shake the tires out there and it'll rattle the parachutes loose. And so I want to make sure that there's enough pin running through the loop. I look up at the wing and make sure that the safety lanyards are on there. To you don't think about stuff until you crash one, and then you start thinking about all those things.
Sure.
And I walk around, I do the signature wing pat. That's just my way of patting my car and saying, take care of me, and I'm going to try to take care of you. And then if you'll really look, the window and the body panel right there at the roll cage is like all the way up to the middle of my waist. So the reason I jump is because my inseam is not long enough to reach either or. So it's like riding a bicycle that you can't touch the ground on. So you have to hop on one side or the other. So I hop up on the roll cage, throw my legs in, and get in. You look, Brittany, she steps on the bar and twists around. My dad does the same thing. And there's different ways that everybody get in, but being a short guy, you kind of got to jump in there. And so I get in. Chris Martin ties me in, and you have a routine. And I'll tell you, I started racing Top Fuel in 2006. And probably from 06 to 9 or 10, I could have driven anything. It could have been a wheelbarrow, and I would have been comfortable in it. But the more laps you get, the more comfortable you get. It's no different than your vehicle that you drive every day, and maybe your wife got in it and moved your seat, and when you get back in, you know that it's like an inch off somewhere.
Yep.
And I'm the same way in that race car now. And so I do the same thing every time getting in. We tie in the same way, pulls the straps the same way. Everything is the same, and it's a routine. And you have to develop that routine just to have consistency, to have continuity, and take all of the variables that could change out.
Excellent. Steve, really appreciate you, man. Everybody needs to know, like, I tried to, like, hey, Steve, you want to do it here in Arizona? And we'll just record something. He's like, no. I want to do the live streaming show. I want to have the fans on there. I want to talk to the fans. I want to talk to my peeps. So let's do that, since we're going out on our YouTube channel. And fans of Steve, you'll subscribe to WFO. You'll like it, because he'll be on, like, at least, I don't want to put a number out there, but a bunch of times.
don't.
See what I did for you? WFO Radio TV. But Steve, you got your fans out there. What do you got to say to the CAPCO Boys fans and your people? The floor is yours. You're about to go for number 5.
I'm so appreciative to each and every one of you fans that have supported us. Everybody says this, but I truly do have the best fans, the most loyal fans, and they come up and support us through everything. And to see you guys at the racetrack and see the comments that you make, and when there's one guy that makes some bad ones and see all the 20 others jump on, it means the world to me. And I look at each and every one of those, and we try to represent you and the sport of drag racing and Texas and CAPCO and now Toyota. We try to represent you all to the best that we possibly can with Mac Tools and Redline Oil and everybody that is stuck with us. And so if you know me and you know CAPCO and you know the Torrence family and the Torrence racing team, we ride for the brand. And so when we tell you we're with you till the end, and that's how we are, and we appreciate having fans like you that do that for us too.
Excellent. Even Joey Rocket. Joey Rocket is out there. For Carl. You know Joey Rocket, obviously. What a
We
character.
know Joey Rocket.
Love Joey Rocket.
So,
Everybody asks
yep.
me, he's like, hey, is that guy in a rock band? I was like, that's Joey Rocket. You don't know Joey Rocket? But we all love Joey Rocket. What a character.
Quick story. Dallas, I had some of my rodeo buddies there, Sage Kimsey, Tilden Hooper. Yep. And those guys had no clue who Joey Rocket was. But I had them fully convinced it was Alice Cooper for at least half a day.
Perfect.
And so Joey's one of the wildest looking crazy guys you'll ever meet with the biggest heart. I mean, he lives and breathes drag racing. This guy drinks nitromethane.
Yes.
So you've seen.
He plays mean guitar. He's like a real. He's been in bands.
He's a rock star.
He's a rock star. He drinks nitro. He plays guitar at night. But the thing is, and I got to know him a little bit more, and he's a friend. And he's like, hey man, at the end of the day, just remind him, Joey Rocket worked for Garlits, and he was on the road with Garlits. And if that doesn't tell you something, nothing will.
Exactly.
Right.
If that doesn't tell you something about Garlits.
It tells you a lot about a lot of people, and we'll just leave it at that. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah,
all right. Say hi to Natalie, obviously Mama Kay, and your dad. Pass it along. I'll see you. That's it. We're off. 2022 begins on Friday. And for those that didn't hear, LA County has lifted the restrictions of vax proof and test and outdoor mask. All of that is gone for the race this weekend. So if you were like not comfortable with that, come on. The Lucas Oil Winternationals. We'll see you there this weekend. Steve, thank you so much. I really appreciate you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate everybody.
All right. There we go. Steve Torrence with us here on WFO Radio. No, I put him on. I need to take him off. I'm super excited. Thank you, Steve. Later, bud. There he goes. Steve Torrence with us here on WFO Radio. And everybody, the Gator Nationals are almost here. And Daniel, Steve did some great things, took his dad down the racetrack. Amazing stuff. And that's the deal. Steve wanted all you WFO fans out there, people watching on YouTube, WFO Radio TV, subscribe, click the bell. Think about Steve and think about all drag racers, really. When do they get this time to, in a relaxed state, answer questions and at the track? It doesn't happen because they're in race mode. And Steve was on lunch mode right there, and we really appreciate it. So to everybody out there on the Steve Torrence page, hopefully you enjoyed that and you'll watch WFO Radio throughout the season. We're really pushing the YouTube channel, WFO Radio TV, and all of our stuff. You can find me on Facebook and Twitter, but YouTube is really where I want everybody to go. And that mobile app we've got. All right, final comments in the comment section. What is that? Look at this. Spider-Man, doing a great job, Joe. Thank you. Larry Spider-Man McBride is out there in our audience. He was just down there testing at Palm Beach International Raceway. And unbelievable performances again. First time back on the bike in a long time. Spider-Man, I watched all the stuff on with Jack on Cycle Drag. It was great. And to see you out there was awesome. Let's plan to have you on the show, in between Arizona and the Gator Nationals, something like that. Because I want to talk about, like, Spider-Man is an icon. He is a drag racing icon and doing some crazy stuff. And a big shout out again to Mark Rabilis for taking these shots, and Nat sent him over. And of course, I'm happy to put him up on the screen. But Mark and Gary and the photographers of the NHRA just doing so many great things, and they're doing it for the love. There's so many subjects out there in the world, but they choose to continue to spend time in NHRA drag racing, and rightfully so, because drag racing is moving in the right direction. We've got some really good things on the horizon. I want to remind everybody, pick up some WFO Radio gear, whether it be sweatshirts or hoodies or coffee mugs. You can get that in the WFO Radio merch store. They've been very popular, rock it all year long. But really, it's about these people who make it possible for me to go WFO, like Total Seal Piston Rings, the leader in ring seal technology. If you're going to be at the Winter Nationals, there is a Trackside Tech Talk on Friday. What does it mean? They will explain to you the reason ring seal is so important with a great presentation. And they talk about RPK and VPK and why you need a profilometer and all these things that are so important. TotalSeal.com. Maybe you can't get out there. Download the podcast, Hidden Horsepower, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and go to their website to find out more information. FTIperformance.com. .90 racers, bracket racers, weekend warrior bracket racers. These guys have shown that FTI makes the best in the business when it comes to transmissions and torque converters. They are an industry leader for over 10 years. Just look at U.S. Nationals winner Troy Williams Jr. and countless others. We're going to be featuring FTI drivers over the course of the year and tell you whenever they score a win as often as is possible. All part of educating you. If you want to turn on some win lights, go to FTIperformance.com. If you're in need of a career and you want to do what you want to do, and you love engines, and you love the idea of making horsepower, Samtech can get you started off right. They're located in the Houston, Texas area, samtech.edu, Judson Massengill, Linda Massengill, Brian Massengill. Go to their website, give them a call, tell them you heard about it on WFO Radio, whether you want to learn how to do motorsport EFI tuning, whether you want to learn to program CNC machines and operate those machines, or become a good old-fashioned machinist. They can get you started off right. Samtech.edu, they're approved to train veterans under the GI Bill. And then there's Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School, which is just about you driving race cars. Whether you want to be the next Steve Torrence or whether you want to just do the dragster adventure and go down the racetrack in a dragster and feel what it's like. That experience, that feeling of getting into the race car like Steve. FrankHawley.com, the dragster adventure. You get 3 runs down the track, 1 half track, 2 full track passes. Courses start at $399, which is cheaper than it used to be, if you think about it. FrankHawley.com. And then there's Marvin Rodak. Coffee, hot sauces, spice rubs, grilling, tools, tips, information. They're located in Fort Worth, Texas. If you are into Texas barbecue, give Marvin a call, 817-924-6821. This guy's been on television, the Big Bad Barbecue Battle. He has coached people up, and he is a huge sponsor of WFO Radio. Love Marvin. And then there's the VIP Listener Club, patreon.com/WFO Radio. You can go to our website, WFOradio.com, and join. And it does cost something, but you decide what you want to put in on a monthly basis, or maybe you want to get one of those yearly memberships. What do you get for it? You get some behind the scenes coverage. You get to participate in the Ignition Show. You get Monday motivation each Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday, whenever I get to it, which is usually Monday after events. It kind of moves around, but we try to make it worth your while to be part of the WFO universe behind the scenes. Go to patreon.com and see. If you go to the WFO store on our website, it will tell you how to get WFO stickers for your car. I think it's pretty cool. Let's see what everyone has got to say. Yesterday, I asked for predictions for the Lucas Oil Winternationals this weekend on NHRA.tv and then Fox following the Daytona 500. You got to have a race party, guys. You have a race party. Daytona 500 leading right into NHRA Camping World Drag Racing. That sounds like a huge television audience for drag racing to me. And Tony Stewart is going to be in the booth out there in Daytona, and he's got teams, and so he's going to do the plug, right? Like, hey, stick around, fans, to watch the fastest accelerating motorsport on Earth. I am headed out early tomorrow, and let's see what we see. Of course, I work for the NHRA when I'm not going WFO. Let's see what some final comments and questions are. See what everybody's got to say. We left off with Spider-Man McBride. Thank you very much, Larry. That was awesome. It was awesome. Well, Stephen Natalie did a big part in that. I was content to do a quick interview in his pit area out there in Arizona. And he said, no, man, I'm going to block the time. I want to talk to the fans. And that's what makes it special. And thanks to those guys for letting us stream on their channel as well, because hopefully some will become fans of WFO. At least, very least now, you know. Joey Rocket, great show as always, Joe. Thank you, brother. Likewise, Joey. I'll see you somewhere, right? Where are we going to see you? What's your role with Fox Sports coverage with NHRA this year, Joe? I don't want to say just yet, but we'll see, right? I'm going to find out some more vital information this weekend, and I think I'll have more to talk about in the near future. But I did do 3 races last year. Reading was very fun. My first experience with Fox Sports 1, and I worked really hard, and I put in full effort, and I even lost 10 pounds, so should be a shoo-in. Great job, but Jesse James is live. Got to go. Later, Rick. Say hi to Jesse. Speaking of drag racing connections, see you this weekend, Joe. I'll be there. Spider-Man, Larry Hayes, 2 of the best. Thank you, Tony. NHRA needs to let Spider-Man McBride race his bike and Top Fuel motorcycle. Well, he can't do that because he'll win by 0.6 of a second. But I would like to see Spider-Man McBride make some runs out there at the NHRA. I want to see that. The guy's a legend. The bike is incredible. The, Elmer Trent style exhaust out the back, like amazing. And I don't know. I think it can happen, but I don't know the deets. David Joplin, thanks, Joe. Bought a shirt and a mug yesterday. Way to go, David. That was you. Yeah, the merch store. It's rocking. We got more stuff coming, too. So everybody get your logo stuff and then be ready for the new stuff. Football is over. Let's go drag racing. It's time to burn some nitro. Yeah, I've been wondering how I'm going to say it. Like, should I switch up my tagline, my signature start the races tagline, or should I keep it the same? It's time to burn some nitro. I don't think we've spent enough time. I don't think it's time to change just yet. We'll see, though. Good show, Joe. Thank you, Lonnie. Good questions, Lonnie. Way to go. Safe travels to Pomona. Thank you. I need it, says Jay. Way to go. How about the Toyota commercial? It was great. If you haven't seen it, I tweeted it out under WFO Joe is my handle. You can follow me. But I tweeted it out, and I don't know if it was a good thing to do or a bad thing to do, but every NHRA fan should retweet this, even if you're not a fan of Toyota. Why? Because they did such a good job with the production. Antron and JR and Langdon and Alexis. Now that Steve's a Toyota driver, but maybe they did this before they announced that. Who knows? But the production is A++. It's as good as it can be. It's a first-class television commercial, and they're parodying the Hangover movies. And Antron is the guy who got all cray. Right? And he doesn't remember. And JR's looking really slick and dapper. Like, yeah, man, you kind of, really embarrassed us all. You got to see it. It's a great job by Toyota. And that's what we need. We need more of that. What's your picks, Joe? No picks, Max. No picks. Not making picks. Picks on separate show. It's different time. We just interviewed Steve Torrence. I'm picking Steve Torrence. That's who I'm picking to win. To bookend the year. Honestly, very often, the same people who won the Auto Club Finals win the Winternationals, and it only makes sense. So, Steve Torrence, Ron Capps, Greg Anderson. There you go. Those are my picks. Because it's just a thing. Like, you get this momentum, and you come in, and the momentum continues. But you told me to make picks, and I just did. The geezer is 2 hours from the track. Yeah, you're going slow because of all that In-N-Out burger you've been eating, Roger Richards. And since we talked a lot about Mark Robillas and we talked a lot about Gary Nastasi, you got to talk about Roger Richards, another one of the great photogs out there in the NHRA. We love him, not just because he watches WFO. Lonnie do a great job on the Fox broadcasts, and Amanda Busick is great also. They're all great. They are all great, and I love them greatly. I want to hear fire. Well, there's no jet cars, so no fire. Not yet. I've been telling them, like, we could get something going. Let's get some jets out at every race. But availability, the supply chain, man. They're not pushing jet cars down the supply line as quickly as they used to. Looking forward to seeing you on TV, ready for an awesome season. This is going to be the final one. Good day, Joe. Cheers from Australia, says Chris Wilcox. What's up, Chris? Thank you, brother. Appreciate you. And thanks to all of our fans out there. And that's going to do it. I am now done. The next time you hear me or see me on a microphone somewhere, it'll be out there on NHRA's social media. Friday morning, Auto Club Raceway, Lucas Oil Winternationals. The 2022 NHRA Camping World and Lucas Oil Series campaigns begin. You're not excited about NHRA drag racing? They must be reptilian. Cold-blooded. If you don't have NHRA.tv, you'll be able to watch all the action all season long. Just get it. If you factored out the hourly rate of NHRA.tv, it is so cheap. It's like $12 a race or something. It's nothing. And you learn everything. And then you watch Fox afterwards and you learn even more. AJ loves the fire. Who doesn't love the fire? That was kind of happened by accident, by the way. That's a different story for a different day. Gary's excited. I'm excited too, Gary. And this is where, working there and feeling the energy. Knowing you got Tony Stewart. Austin Prock is back. And Alan Johnson has moved. And CAPCO's trying to go for 5 in a row. And in Funny Car, it's wide open. You got full fields in every category for the first time in 2016. For the first time since 2016. Things are happening in the National Hot Rod Association. The cars are back. The people are back. The masks are off. You don't have to show that you have a vaccine. You don't have to show you have a negative test. You just go to the race like old school times. A lot of people were telling me, oh, they'll just skip it and they'll go to Vegas, but they really wish they could go. And so, I pulled some strings and I got things done. So you're welcome. All right, guys. Thanks to Steve. Thanks to Natalie. Thanks to CAPCO. Everybody out there. Appreciate all of you. We'll see you next time on WFO Radio.